Hi everybody, and welcome to our tutorial on Wakelet. This week we're talking about social bookmarking, and the whole idea here is that there are tools that will allow you to not only store and save your resources that you find you want to hold on to, but this also allows you to collaborate and share those resources with others. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways we can do that within this context of social bookmarking. This is one tool that will allow you to do that. There are many out there, but this is one that I think is particularly interesting because of the depth of resources that it allows you to share. So let's jump into it. Again, this tool is called Wakelet. You can see I'm at wakelet.com, and you could scroll down through this webpage and read a little more about it, but I'm going to show you the basic ins and outs. The first thing you'll need to do to use this is to sign up. When you do that, you'll be presented with a bunch of different ways you guys can sign up, including email addresses, Google, Microsoft, and so on. I'm going to let you guys pick whatever's going to work best for you. I'm going to go ahead and log on, and we'll jump in here and show you the basics of this. Okay, now once you're logged on, you'll see mine, of course, is going to look different than yours. Mine is populated with a few things because I've played around with this before, but you guys haven't, so it's going to be blank to begin with. So, to give you an idea as to what we're looking at here, in this middle section that we're looking at, you have what's called collections. Now think of a collection as a folder of resources that you are collecting that you want to use later. And this can come in a couple different ways with a couple different intentions, and I'll get into the specifics in a second. You can see over here on the left, we've got some specifics in terms of what I've got. I've got 3 collections, I've got 7 bookmarks, and 25 group collections. Over here is a space where you can see that we can create or join a space. So think of a space as a class. This is kind of a separate area where you might want to put all of your collections for a specific bell during the day or a specific subject that you're teaching. So for example, this is your main area for collections, but if you want to separate it out a little bit more, you can create what's called a space. And you can see I have one up here for History Bell 2. I'll show you the specifics of that in just a bit as well. But let's start with a basic collection. When you create a collection, we've got some options here in terms of what we can add to it and how we share it out with others. So to get started, we're going to click here where it says create a new collection. Now when we do that, we're going to see a couple of things here. Over on the left, it's asking us the layout, and you can kind of see the different ways that a collection can be laid out. For the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to start with media, but this can always be changed later, and you can play around with these, and I encourage you to play around with these to see what works best. Double check your assignment for what layout I'm asking you to turn in your assignment for. There will be some specifics there, and there's reasons why, because as I grade it, I need it to be laid out a certain way. But I want you guys to know that these options are here. Down here, we can also see we can add in a cover image and a background image. So let's go ahead and let's start over here actually and give this a title first. Let's call this one Remote Learning Tools. And let's go ahead and add in a description here of what this is. If you choose to make a collection public or even unlisted where you're sharing it with certain people, adding a description helps them to understand what content they'll find in there. So let me go ahead and add a description now. Okay, the description I added says, this collection contains helpful tools that can help educators connect to students in a remote setting. Okay, so we have a title and we have a description. Let's go back over here to this palette looking icon and go ahead and add in an image. As you know, images always help to kind of connect content to the user, and it just makes it a little more eye appealing. So the difference between these two, this is a cover image, and this will be kind of right here where we can see it in this area here. And a background image is what it sounds like. It's going to be on either side of it. So I'm going to go ahead and add in both just so you can see what they look like. If I want to add in a cover image, you can see that I've got a couple different options. You can upload your own image, and you can choose from a couple of different options here as well. I'm going to choose from the library. And I am going to look here for remote. I feel like something that looks like a laptop might work well. So let me search for laptop. All right, this looks a little like remote learning, so let me choose this one. All right, and you can see this popped up right above our title here, so that's what a cover image looks like. Let's go ahead and add in a background image, and we can decide if we like it or not. And here's where you can edit or delete this as well. Okay, so I'm going to choose a background image here, and let's see, maybe we'll just choose something kind of calming. Let's choose this one. All right, and see, this kind of came in the background. Now you can choose whether you like that or not. Maybe it looks too busy to you, but I wanted to show you the options were there. All right, so we've got some art imagery in there, and we want to actually start adding in some resources. So when we come down here, you can see that this is set up automatically where you can paste in any web address. And this is where a lot of your content will come from, things from the web. But that's not your only option. If we roll our mouse over here, we can choose to add text. We can add in an image we want to save. We can choose to add in bookmarks, and I'll show you that in just a bit, a PDF, and you also have a bunch of different apps that you can add in content from as well. I particularly like that you can save tweets to these collections, which might be helpful. This is Flipgrid. That little icon is what Flipgrid is. You guys should now be familiar with Flipgrid, adding in any kind of YouTube video, and then some cloud space options that you can add components to as well. Let's start here. And one tool that I find helpful in remote learning are flashcard sites. So we're going to choose to copy and paste in a site called StudyStack. Let me copy and paste that web address in now. All right, so if I copy and paste in my StudyStack address, let's see if it found it for us. All right, and it did. There's our StudyStack. Now, it added that in just by me copying and pasting the address directly into that bar here. So what you can see is this is added. I want to show you that you have more options if you come over here to the right and choose to edit this. Now, when you choose to edit this, you can change the title of it if you want to be more specific, but maybe more importantly, you can change the description. That's a pretty short description, create and share free flashcards. What if I wanted to add a longer, more descriptive piece of content here to tell users that are coming to my collection what this really is? You can type in anything you want here. So let me go ahead and add in a deeper description. All right, I did go ahead and put in a deeper description here that tells a little more about what this tool really does for us. You can also edit the image. This is an image that will sit right next to your resource and, again, give an idea as to what this is. This tool is really visual, which might be helpful. If I choose to edit the image here, notice we've got some of those same choices we had when we did the cover or the background image. I'm going to choose from the library. And let's say this one is about studying. So let me choose study. All right, we've got quite a few here that look like somebody is studying. I kind of like this one. So let's choose, actually I like this one because it also has a cell phone here, and this particular tool is particularly good for remote learning and on mobile devices. Okay, so we have a better image here. We have a good description. Let's go ahead and click done. All right, so here is our StudyStack resource that we saved. Let's try adding in another resource from down here. We can click the plus button and we can choose, let's try a YouTube video this time. So let's say one great tool for remote learning is called Nearpod. Let me search and see if there's anything that we can save that would tell us more about Nearpod. Okay, here's a good one. So this is, let's choose this one. This is a what is Nearpod. So if we choose this, we can click add and it will add it right to our collection. All right, so now we have two resources in here. Let me show you one other thing. I can either come down here to add it or I can use this bar up here. Let's say we wanted to add in text to remind us of a few other tools we might want to take a look at for remote learning. I'll go ahead and click add text and you could add in anything you wanted here. So let me add in some text now. All right, I added in 3 more tools that I think might be helpful. I want you to notice that you can do some editing here and formatting. I'm going to choose to make these bullets. I could bold them and so on. Let me go ahead and click done. Okay, so now we have an additional resource inside of here, and we could keep building this with, again, all of these options that we have available to us. Okay, I want to remind you of a couple things. First, I want you to know that your changes are automatically made, like in so many other cloud tools. But I also want to remind you that over here, you can always change the layout that we chose. We chose media, and I'll just show you another one just to give you an idea. Here's the mood. Here's a mood board. Here are columns that you could add. Here's compact. Notice on compact, see how some of the things get cut off a little bit. Maybe that's okay and maybe it's not. It really depends on what you're doing with it. But I'm going to go back to media. And also, again, remind you, this is where you would change your cover or your background images. All right, so let's say your collection is done and you are ready to share this out with other people. There's this handy button up here called Share, and I want to show you a couple different options that exist inside of Share. So if I click on this, we see two tabs. You can share your collection or you can invite collaborators. Here's the difference. Share collection means that you want to give this as kind of a read-only link to people that they want to take a look at this collection. So for example, maybe you have set up a collection of resources you want students to use for a research project they're working on. You want them to read these resources, but you don't want them to add anything to this collection. Read only. That's what Share Collection is. So when you're ready to share a collection out, you have three options on how you want this to be saved. Private means you are the only one that's looking at that. Public means anybody can look at this, including anybody on Wakelet can search and find your collection. Unlisted means only people with a link that you are directly sharing that link to will be able to see your collection. So those are three pretty common sharing options you would see on anything that you might be sharing out on the web. Unlisted, private, or public. So let's say we're going to say unlisted for now. So when you're ready to share that out, we have a variety of ways to do this, including a couple that should look familiar to you. This is the option for Google Classroom. This is one for Remind, which we're using in our class. You could tweet it out and so on. But maybe you just want to copy a link and you want to put it out into an email, or you want to put it on inside of a learning management system, or post it as an announcement somewhere. This is the link that you would share out. As a side note, this is the link you'll also use to turn in your assignment to me when you're sharing your collection to me. Again, understand that when you share a collection, this means that you want them to just view your collection. The option here, unlisted, private means only you. So even if you can't share that out to anyone if it's just private, or public is everybody. So again, they are just viewing your collection. Now, what if you wanted students to actually add content in? And I'll show you an example of that in just a second. If you want people to actually kind of write and add to your collection, they're called collaborators. And that's over here under Invite Collaborators. So you would then copy this link and share it out to whoever you want to collaborate together. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. When you choose to copy this link and share it with others, they do not have to have a Wakelet account in order to add to your collection. When they choose this link, it'll just ask them for their name, just so you know who's collaborating with you, and then they can add. So they do not, again, this is really helpful for students, they do not have to have a Wakelet account. They only need this link. You can also invite people in via email address or their name if you chose to. One other note, let's say you only wanted this open for collaboration for a certain amount of time, a week or 2 weeks. When that time is up, you can choose to reset this link and code, and that will change so that the old code won't work anymore. So it's kind of a security feature for you. So share collection, view only, people can see it. Invite is they can add to it. So two different approaches here, and really Wakelet is great because both can be really powerful. This is really helpful if you are collecting resources to share out with students you want them to use. But let's say you wanted them to actually collaborate and work together, either on maybe a discussion board type of thing, or you want them to work in small groups. This would work great. So let me show you one example of that. Okay, so I'm back on my main page, and I want to show you this board that I set up. Let me go ahead and open it, a collection rather. It says I'm most proud of, and I did add in a cover photo here. I came down and gave it a description. In this case, I said, tell us all one thing you're most proud of from this week. It could be associated with school, sports, family, or friends. And then I have one example here I added, and I talked about a new tool that I learned. This is one way that you could help students to collaborate together. Add them, give them links to collaborate, and then they could add to this collection. This might allow you to maybe take the temperature on how your students are doing this week, allow them a place to talk about some fun things that have gone on that week. Anything that would help them to collaborate together, this would be wonderful for. So in this case, once again, the share options here would be under the invite collaborators, and this is the link that you would share out to them. So this is another way that you could use Wakelet. Okay, I want to show you a couple of other ways that you could add items to your collections. The first would be this search options up here. This is a way for us to search any public collections that people have chosen to share out with the community. So let's say we go up to the search here and we say we're searching for lesson plans. Okay, and this is what comes back. Now let's come down a little bit and I'm going to choose this one. And if we scroll down a little bit more, okay, here is a collection of items that might be helpful to us. So this one, 14 questions every teacher should ask about lesson plans. I like that one. Let's choose to save this. This is this little bookmark icon here. When we do, it's showing me all of my collections, and I'm going to choose to put this one inside of Classroom Resources. Save to collection, and it'll pop up in my collection. We'll go back and look at that in just a second. As a side note, I wanted to show you guys this one. If I open this up, I want to show you, this is an example of how to use the column layout, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And this is a handy way to keep things organized. Just one example of another layout for Wakelet. Okay, the other way that you could add in resources is this little Chrome extension for Wakelet. And if you're on a web page where you want to bookmark or save the web page you're on, this might be handy for you. I'm going to move over to a tool called whiteboard.chat. This is a great remote learning tool. So let's say I want to save this. If I come up here to my Wakelet add-on, you can click here. Now, could I have taken this URL and added it directly? I could have, but this is just another way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And it sees I've got, this is the name of it. I can change the description here. I want to add this one into my remote learning tools. I'm going to hit save. All right, let's go double check that both of those went inside of our Wakelet. So the first one we're going to take a look at is the Classroom Resources. Inside of here, did we get our bookmark? We did. There's our 14 questions every teacher should ask. If we go back to our remote learning tools, did we get our whiteboard.chat? And we did. There it is right there. So those are two other ways that you can add in components to your Wakelet collections. Now, I want to show you this. I told you that you could add in spaces, and this is kind of putting a separate area for a specific bell or a subject that you're working on. It's very simple. If we come down here to where it says create or join a space, you can create a space here. Let's say we called this Math Bell 3. We can choose to create it. We can give it a picture if we wanted to. And from here, you can see that we can create a new collection inside of our space. By clicking on our space settings, we can change a few things inside of here, and we can come down to members, and we can choose to invite people in if we wanted to. So this would allow you to separate out your collection into specific bells or topics. Okay, last thing I want to mention here, underneath this circle up here, which has my picture on it, I want to show you that this will take you into your profile where you can edit your profile, add a picture and a description. This is particularly handy so people know kind of a little bit about you and who you are and what you're putting out on Wakelet. So you're an educator, I teach elementary ed, I focus on XYZ. So this is how you would edit your profile. Okay, gang, I know that this was probably a lot of new information, but I hope you can see the power in what a tool like Wakelet can do. Remember, this is really handy for both storing things for yourself, sharing that collection with others, or creating a space where people can collaborate together. So think about it in multiple ways. Good luck learning about Wakelet, and please let me know of any questions that you have.